Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, Mr. BoomStick XL is smiling like the Joker from ear to ear. We have breaking news thanks to pretty much everybody in the community. I mean, K.O. Walker DM'd me. I'm actually going to read out the names because I got about 15 DMs. I'm like, okay, something is going on. Folks, we have a story, and again, let me just pull it because everyone has had it. So here we go. Jez Corden, 56 minutes ago, has confirmed that Capcom solves the technical hurdles preventing Marvel vs. Capcom collection and the Capcom fighting game collection 2 from hitting Xbox. Both will arrive in 2024. Now, I think he might be wrong with the date because obviously I have the tweet from Capcom themselves. So let me just read that. You know what? I'm so excited. I forgot to introduce it. I'm working with a bunch of incredible gentlemen. Holy crap. Hey, Jamie, brother, thank you so much for joining us today. Breaking news. You're going to run a story right after this regarding Transformers. We have a rumor coming out from Ecstasies that in September, which we're in right now, Xbox Game Pass is apparently getting 19 drops. 17 of those are expected to be new. This is big, man. This is where I think the onslaught of Activision Blizzard games, and of course, well, Transformers, which you're going to cover for us, that actually just been reviewed by the Australian Reviews Board. We're going to get into that, but how you feeling, brother? Welcome.
Hey man, happy to be here. We've got some good stories to talk about today, and it's mostly positive, which is really nice, especially after the recent stuff. But hey, looking forward to talking about stuff. It's a great time to be a gamer, and despite some of the fudge you see online, there's good stuff coming.
Indeed, absolutely. There is a lot to get excited about. Even if you are an Xbox gamer, which a lot of us are, and well, this is usually the Xbox Factor podcast. Not today. This is the Double Barrel Gaming breaking news special. Well, because we have breaking news, but Infinite Umbra, you're here, you're up, you sound chipper. How you feeling, brother? Welcome.
Well, I'm happy because Capcom is gonna take us for a ride. I'm sorry. Yeah, man. I'm have a little bit of energy in me today. I should be okay for the show. So 90 minutes, like you said, we should be good. Yeah. Happy to be here with you fellas again, of course, and shout out and good morning to the chat.
Well, good morning to you. Obviously, folks, if you didn't know, he works overnight, so he's usually going to bed at this time, but he's here. He probably took a nap, and he's woke himself up. Well, he's here for your entertainment, ladies and gentlemen, as we all are. So, look, we got to get right into the breaking news, and obviously, as everyone starts to file in, let's go over what was posted. Now, again, I'm rereading it verbatim. Jez Corden, good friend of this community, great friend of Mr. BoomStick personally, and of course, one half of the Xbox 2 podcast with Randall Thor and pointed journalist, if you will, for Windows Central Gaming. Well, he put out a tweet 56 minutes ago stating this: breaking, Capcom solves the technical hurdles preventing Marvel vs. Capcom and Capcom Fighting Collection 2 from hitting Xbox. Both will arrive in 2025. Yes, he just literally fixed his tweet because originally he said 2024, but it is 2025. Now, there is a corresponding story that goes into the deets, if you will. I will be adding that to the show notes if you want to read about it. So let's say, for instance, you want some more context. Jez Corden is really good with that, and I will add that story once the podcast is all wrapped up. But let's bring in, well, Capcom. Capcom USA has tweeted what is, in my opinion, one of the biggest announcements of the year. Now, I get it, folks. There are going to be a lot of people that are like, yes, sir.
Could I possibly interrupt you really quick for breaking news?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Shared by good brother Pong Soul. PlayStation just posted an update on their blog about Concord. It says that I'm going to read this. However, many questions are of the qualities of the experience resonated with players. We also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6, 2024, and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. So they're taking it off Concord offline.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. That is more breaking news, and we will get into that. Thank you for the update, brother. We have to cover that. Obviously, this is a day of breaking news. Yeah. There goes the bathwater. Hopefully, we kept the baby because wow. This story was written yesterday. I sent the notes. We were ready to rock and roll, and well, here we are, back to back, big breaking news. And I want to get some more detail into that because refunds may have to be issued. Let's see if they actually do that because people bought the game. This wasn't a free-to-play game. But let's rewind it back to Capcom and what they had to say. Now, look, like I was saying before, maybe these quote-unquote old games aren't your bag. I hear you. But they're my bag. And I'm also an old man. And I think that video game preservation is something that should not be scoffed upon. You shouldn't look at it and be like, yeah, whatever, old games. I don't even like those anyway. Don't be a boob in the room by yourself, standing in the corner. Okay? Just because these games may or may not be for you, they deserve to exist, which they do. But the problem here, Jamie Moran, was that they were skipping Xbox for a quote-unquote technical issue. Well, I have the presser right from Capcom USA, and I'm going to read it verbatim, ladies and gentlemen. It goes on to say, we're happy to announce that after technical discussions with our partners at Microsoft, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics and Capcom Fighting Collection 2 will release on Xbox One. Both Xbox versions will arrive in 2025, so stay tuned for more information. Now, this is a big deal. Both of these games were announced via Nintendo Directs, and everyone, including myself, were ecstatic up until the end of the trailer, where it basically said every platform but Xbox. Now, granted, I have my physical versions already pre-ordered for the Switch, and I'm going to be buying the physical versions of both of these games when they arrive in 2025. Day one, no questions asked. Now, you say to yourself, well, Boom, who really buys physical? How it has been explained on the socials is that there will not be digital versions of this game, at least as far as I understand it. PlayStation 4, which is getting the game so you can play on your PlayStation 5, will need to be purchased via a physical game. There will not be a PS4 digital version of this game. I don't know why that is, and it would make more dollars and cents for Capcom not to package these things and ship them out, but that is how it's being done. I don't care one way or the other. Again, maybe things have changed since the original announcement, but either way, I'm buying these games for both the Switch and now, thank goodness, for the Xbox. Jamie, I want to get into this because, again, this is monster breaking news. I think, personally, it's one of the biggest, I don't know, goodwill stories that we have heard so far in 2024. And then maybe it's me. Maybe I'm overshooting it. I don't care. I'm a Capcom fan. I'm a Street Fighter fan. And here we go. Some of the best fighting games ever made are going to be available for now Xbox in two distinctive collections. Let's break it down.
Yeah, this is great news. I mean, there's no other way about it. As soon as this was announced not to come to Xbox, all hell broke loose.
Yeah,
because these games are beloved. You know, you have interesting characters that pretty much everyone on the planet has heard of in a fighting game, and like I love older games because I think they still hold up, and a lot of people have nostalgia for them, and they're still good at the end of the day. So like, for this game or these collections to not come to Xbox was a big deal for a lot of people, but it's also that the technical aspect needs to be solved for a lot of things. Xbox, like my preferred platform, they clearly need optimizations to be sorted out, and when it comes to the MT framework engine, they need that sorted, and it looks like they're getting that sorted, so that's great news. And there's a bunch of other games that use MT framework, so it looks like those may come over as well, like the smaller Monster Hunter titles and other older titles.
You
But
also had the Mega Man collection.
Yeah.
That's I would love that. I'd buy that in a second.
Yeah, it's great news. It just means more games at the end of the day. And as like I said, as someone that likes old games, I can't wait. And you know, like you said, with the whole physical situation, we don't really know the whole deal about why they only going to be like physical on PlayStation. Like you said, maybe they've changed that. Hopefully they make it digital as well, because considering where gaming's going, we want to take our games forward with us. Either way, it's good news. And you know, as personally, I haven't really played fighting games in a very long time, but I will get into these because you know it's been so long since I played them. But it's good news. What can I say?
Yeah, it's very exciting news. And I mean, obviously, what you see on your screen is Marvel vs. Capcom 3, another absolute banger of a classic, and one I still play. Listen again. I like fighting games. I love the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting games. What hopefully this ultimately does is they're going to see that there's going to be a lot of excitement and positivity towards the original announcement, which there was. I mean, look at some of the biggest fighting game YouTubers. They were ecstatic. Some of the reveal videos, and I love watching those. Those are like my guilty pleasure, seeing other people excited. It's so much fun, and it's so exciting to see people, especially like if you watch a lot of them are, some of them are older like me. A Maximilian dude is a perfect example of that. I don't know. I think I'm a little older than Maximilian, but that guy lost his ever-loving you-know-what, and I love that about that guy. He wears his emotion on his sleeve. But I saw a lot of younger gamers getting excited about this because this is, I mean, Marvel is still hot. You know, the MCU is kind of taking a bit of a slow burn the last couple of, movies, except for, of course, Wolverine and Deadpool, which exploded. But Infinite Umbra, you may not be as old as me, which is fine, but you also appreciate games like Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. And, of course, you have the other collection, which was announced during the last Nintendo Direct, and those listen, they have some Dreamcast classics in there. I mean, I cannot freaking wait. I am so excited that this happened today, and it almost seemed. Look, please correct me, Umbra, if you think I'm wrong here. Jez Corden broke the story about, I think it was roughly around 2 weeks ago, maybe a pinch more, maybe it's 3 weeks now, that Capcom was working with Microsoft to fix the problem. And here we are on a Manic Tuesday, just out of nowhere, breaking news. It kind of felt like it was just a switch or maybe a check. I don't know. But either way, I'm super stoked.
The check cleared, huh, Boom?
Check cleared. Umber, what do you think about this, man?
It's surprising. I mean, today is kind of full of surprises, but yeah, I mean, I didn't expect that. I was a little surprised by the 2025 thing. I was like, why 2025? But then you explained the physical. I was like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. They have the press and do all those things. Got it. I'm excited for those who are excited about it. I'll put it to you like that.
Okay,
Marvel versus Capcom 3 itself isn't I'm not the biggest fan of that one in particular. Probably part 2 more than anyone, you know what I mean?
Choose the classic. That's the goal.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, for those who are happy for this and get to see Captain America Stars and Stripes, I'm all for them. You know what I mean? Do your thing. The way I look at it when it comes to gaming in general, when it comes to these games that have skipped or they haven't, I guess, gotten in contact with Microsoft, or Microsoft hadn't got in contact with them, if you will, and corrected these things. I look at it like there is no reason for any game to ever not be on this platform, even if I don't want to play that particular game. There's somebody who wants to play it. Not every game is for everybody, right? So that this is coming over, finally, they got that situated. That's a relief for me. And I mean, because I guess we've been kind of inundated with a bunch of games that have skipped the platform recently that we've seen. There's been a lot of controversy about that in the past few weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably longer than that, really, if we really want to go back. But so this right here, this matters. You know what I mean? They have to stop the bleeding, so to say. And clearly, this shows me that at least I believe that Microsoft worked with them to get this situated and taken care of, because it just so happened to like, oh yeah, we'll have this launching now on Xbox One in 2025. So to me, that tells me that Microsoft stepped up and said, okay, let's get this done. They possibly may not have known how much it mattered to Xbox fans, Microsoft, until they heard the outcry, and they stepped to the plate and corrected it with Capcom. So kudos to all of them involved in getting it done. I'm hoping that this extends to other games that are having issues landing on the platform. As I know you had a good discussion, Lisa, back and forth with the creators of another game that is in particular that is not on going to land on the platform at launch. So I'm happy for that. I'm happy, like I said, we're getting taken for a ride. Boom, it's back. It's on here. I'm happy for that. Let's get that train rolling and have more releases that have skipped the platform or having trouble landing on a platform for certification or whatever it may be the case. Let's get all of that taken care of. Xbox, they have to get in. They have to get ahead of these types of things and can't be sitting there, kind of surprised by, oh, this happened too. We can't keep allowing that to happen. In my opinion, it sends a terrible message to the consumers and us as fans. So yeah, happy for this and happy for those who are happy for this to come to the platform.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, maybe this isn't going to be everybody's game. Not everybody is going to run out and buy this, and that's fine. You know what? I get it that there is a subset of gamers that appreciate and look forward to these types of releases. You're talking about games that released on the Xbox One. You're talking about games that released on the on the Sega Dreamcast, right? But some of them have not been available to play unless you are someone who runs ROMs on your PC. I mean, I don't have a PC to run ROMs on, right? So I have the games. I actually have Power Stone 1 and 2. I have the physical copies. I could play them anytime I want, but that means I have to break out the Dreamcast. I got to plug it in. I got to buy the additional accessories, hook it up to the modern TVs. I got to use the Dreamcast controls, which weren't the greatest, right? But when these collections were originally announced and Xbox was left out, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I was buying them for the Switch, but my preferred platform is the Xbox. And there are hopefully millions of people in the same camp as me that are going to look at this with a big cheese smile and be like, yeah, they did it. And it seemed like all it needed to happen was a conversation. Now, look, I'm not going to pat myself on the rear and say that it was just my singular voice that got this done. Obviously, that's not true. But you saw some pretty prominent people like Jez Corden, like Clobriel. I don't necessarily know if Maximilian made a push to get it on Xbox. He was just happy that it was happening. But this was a big conversation in the community for the just the one Marvel versus Capcom fighting collection. And of course, more salt or lemon juice into the wound happened during last week's direct when we had the reveal that there was a Capcom Fighting Collection 2 coming to everything but, of course, Xbox.
We can't have that.
Yeah, no, you can't. It's just an ugly look, and it does unfortunately roll with the narrative of, is Xbox a platform that people want to put their games on? This is what the media is running with. And you know something? 99.9% of the time, I thumb my nose at the gaming media because they're looking for clicks. But there are some big questions as to why this stuff continues to happen. And I'm glad that this particular situation is getting done. Yes, we have to wait until 25, but who cares? We are getting this game. And that is, at least for me, Umbra, a big, big deal. But I kind of want to pump the brakes there because we have another breaking news story, and I'm going to let Infinite Umber run this story, if you don't mind, Umber, because you're the one that found it. So, of course, I want you to take the lead on it. You're a show host yourself, so you know exactly what you're doing. Look, this is devastating news for Concord, for Firewalk Studios, for PlayStation. And for the 25,000 people that bought this game. Now, granted, that's not a lot of people. We had it confirmed that 10,000 PC gamers bought it. We had a confirmation that 15,000 PlayStation gamers bought it. But that game over the weekend had a concurrent player list of 56 people, humans, for a game that launched 2 weeks ago. The Concord story is a disaster. It is a game that was in development for 8 years. It is considered a AAA developed game, and it has fallen flatter than any multiplayer game before it. I think it might go down in history as the worst launched game ever. Again, no one's dancing on anyone's grave because I see that being the running sentence for a lot of these media folks. The podcast community dancing on the graves. Nobody's dancing on anybody's grave. Listen, the developers tried to put out something. This is what they did. It just wasn't good. It doesn't mean that we're dancing on anyone's graves. We're just having a conversation. So I want you to lead this one. Let's reread, if you don't mind, exactly what happened, because man, it's just bad news.
Would you like me to read the exact blog?
If you wouldn't mind, sure, by all means. Yeah.
Let me stretch the old vocal cords. Let me get this link. Okay, here we go. An important update on Concord, posted by Ryan Ellis, game director of Firewalk Studios. Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC, and want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. Your support and passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. However, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th, 2024, and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. If you purchase the game for PlayStation 5 from the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method. Customers who purchased from other digital storefronts will also be refunded. More information about refunds from Steam and Epic can be found below. So, yeah. They're refunding it fully, which I'll say, just to add, I appreciate that they're doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because they could just be like, whatever, we got your money, your little 2,500 sales, you're not getting it back. But, hey, kudos to them for giving it back. What I will say is that this is not so much a shock, because we all saw the writing on the wall. And I'm not trying to say this in a negative way, because none of us want games to fail.
No.
Right?
Absolutely not.
But it was very clear. PlayStation fans did not want this. I said it several times, and it starts to sound cliche. I know a lot of people got upset because people were telling the honest to God truth that the game was dead on arrival, but it was as clear as day. PlayStation fans have been conditioned to a certain type of game, and this, unfortunately, just ain't it. The game was released August 23rd, by the way. It will be offline September 6th.
Yep.
How many days is that? Can anybody
That's
tell
13.
me? 13 days.
Yeah, because you got 30. Okay, so maybe I'm not a mathematician, folks, but it's in between 11 and 13 days.
It wouldn't even matter if it was 30. Let's say it was 30 days. That is the fastest game to be, as far as I can tell right now, fastest AA or AAA game, and I'm pretty sure this is AA, for 8 years in development, $200 million loss. Clearly AAA, right? That is the fastest AAA game I've ever seen get sunsetted that fast, at least until they work it over. Obviously, I'm guessing they're going to go free to play, right? Smart. Before that, Babylon's Fall was the fastest to be taken offline. Do you know how long that was online before they took it offline, guys?
No.
Quick little research before you called on to me. 194 days.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
this was done. I know that I'm laughing, but I'm not trying to laugh at it. This was done. You said 13 days, was it?
Yeah. I give or take. Yeah.
13 days, and this game is already being taken offline. And I guess let's say 16 days by the 6th, right? How about
Yeah.
that? It's got to be in Abdel, exactly. This has to be a new Guinness World Record. A sad one, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say to this, and I've said this before, I said it on my show as well. It is not a good look for Sony. He said, "No laugh, Smitty." Yeah, I'm not trying to laugh, Smitty. I'm trying not to. I don't want it to sound callous or come off the wrong way. I'm laughing at how absurd it is, if anything, right? But for Firewalk, we've already had a ridiculous number of shutdowns and job loss for devs, and we don't want more of that. But I have to say, $200 million loss, game being taken offline, refunds, that does not spell a good what should I say, doesn't smell like it's going to like it's going to land positively, I guess, should I say, for Firewalk. If anything, I'm going to guess that there's going to be some layoff for them, if not an entire studio closure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hate to say it, I really do, but in the state that we're in right now of the economy and everything like that, and how developers are going out left and right, you can't have a loss like this where you effectively get no sales and post a $200 million loss on top of that. Yeah, it's not looking good for Firewalk. If I had to guess, I'm going to guess massive layoffs, if not studio closure for Firewalk. Unfortunately, I'm hoping that's not the case, but I'm going to guess that is going to be the case.
I mean, so before we bring in Jamie and get your hot take, Jamie, there's some caveat here that I kind of want to just put on the table, Umbra. So Jim Ryan, before he was retired, let's just say, announced that they had a dozen free-to-play, gas games in development. Now, at the time of this announcement, how it was presented to us, how it was presented to the press, was that their main studios were taken off of projects that were single-player focused, which is what PlayStation is known for, and put onto these gas games. Well, since Jim Ryan's departure, that list has been halved. Now, we're not going to get into the particular games that were canceled. We all know them already. We've talked about it to the point of nauseum. A lot of really good, strong first-party games that could have been half-baked and did better than Concord. But where I think the rubber hits the road here, gentlemen in chat, and by the way, we have 655 people watching live, so thank you so much for checking out today's show, is Concord was expected to be a money maker for PlayStation Studios, and well, it's failed. It's going offline officially on the 6th. That has been confirmed. Marathon is another game that potentially is going to fail based on the reports from numerous people, including Jason Schreier, that game, including its lead developer who was fired for sexual misconduct behavior, is a studio, meaning Bungie, completely out of control. Just absolutely, just a giant S show. That now, so you have these bookends. Now, the pressure is on Jade Raymond and her studio for Fair Games, which is expected to release next year. And let's call a spade, folks. It looks like a Payday clone. So if Concord has failed, Marathon already delayed into 2025 and probably is not going to make that until at least 2026, if it even releases. Now everything rests upon Jade Raymond's game, the new IP, Fair Games, to be that quote-unquote money maker for PlayStation. Folks, I'm here to tell you, and I've said this before, and you can make fun of me all you want, PlayStation is in a pickle. Jamie, let's talk about this horrendous news for Concord. It's just awful.
Talk about failure to launch. Like, I feel sorry for the developers, first off, because
of course you do. Yeah, we all do.
You spent years and years making this game, and it started development when Overwatch came out. Overwatch was absolutely huge when that came out. I mean, it was so big that Blizzard was wanting to have international teams, and it would perform pretty much like the Euro or the World Cup. It was going to be massive. And over time, hero shooters have gotten less and less popular. But like the only one that really sticks around is Overwatch 2. And I think this whole thing about chasing trends, it just doesn't work. It happens time and time again, and it fails. And this is like was anyone in chat was anyone really asking, you know what I could do with right now? A brand new hero shooter. No one was asking for this. No one. And it's sad because it's been hyped up. Like hell, last year when I was talking about Starfield all the time, you'd be surprised how many people replied to me saying Concord's better because they saw a shiny spaceship and they're doing the whole normie thing where they compare and everything. Anyway, it's sad to see. The game's going to get taken offline like 2 weeks after launch. 25,000 in sales. I've just checked online right now. 25 people are playing this on Steam. Like
wow.
this has to be.
Ouch.
I'm not even kidding. The biggest AAA flop of all time.
Yeah.
Like massive. And like, what's Sony going to do? And I have a feeling like Sony has one of two avenues they can take. They can make this game free to play and go the Battle Pass route. Who knows? Maybe they'll even put it on Xbox and Switch 2 or whatever. Or, and I think this is the more likely scenario, they can't find a way to monetize this because no one's talking about it. They weren't willing, like Sony wasn't willing to pay big streamers to play this game, which was very telling. And I found that very strange that like none of the big streamers were playing this. They always get paid to play these big games. So the other thing I think they might do is that I think they may delist this game forever. They're going to willow it. They're going to try and do a tax write-off, and then they might shut down the studio. I hope they don't do that. But this is like there's been a lot of bad gaming news this year. There's been a ton of different studios have shut down, developers laid off, like pretty much for Microsoft, Embracer, Ubisoft, EA. The list goes on, and like none of those games have failed like this. Like Skull and Bones was laughed at for years before it launched. It's still here. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was laughed at. It's still here. And it still has content coming. And this game couldn't last 2 weeks. And like, I think the problem is that other than Sony not paying to market the game with big streamers and whatnot, they put out a live service hero shooter to a fan base that aren't used to these kinds of games, right? Sony puts out single player games, single player action adventure games, and this isn't that. If you go back to the PlayStation 3 generation, they were putting out variety all the time. They had fighting games, online games, first person shooters, third person shooters, RPGs. Well, not many RPGs, but like they had some variety, and their consumers were used to getting this. But I think the problem is with the PlayStation 4 generation, they kind of like bottlenecked their consumers into just wanting single player action adventures. Like all of their games now are single player, third person, over the shoulder action adventure, which may or may not have a bow and arrow. And now they put out this. Like it's way different than what they used to. So like expecting them to play this, I don't know what they were thinking. And like the whole chasing the Overwatch thing was never going to work. Every other game that's tried to chase Overwatch hasn't worked. And just no one's talking about it. And plus, naming a game after a plane that crashed in 2000, like massive disaster if people don't know, that wasn't going to end well. There was nothing good about this game going for it. Everything about it, there was something wrong with it. And again, I hope the developers are going to be okay. Maybe the developers get to make something else, but like 8 years making this, and then look, you have people in chat like saying Xbots and all this stuff. Like we get told all the time that we don't buy games, and this reportedly sold 10,000 on PlayStation and the rest were on Steam. Like why didn't they support these games? We always get told, "Hey, we support these AAA bangers." Clearly not. The game's getting shut down. It didn't even last a month, and as Jez Corden just said on Twitter, Liz Truss, our Prime Minister, that lasted a month, outlasted Concord. It's crazy. And by the way, when it comes to Liz Truss, a lettuce outlasted her, right? So Like, it's a sad situation. And I'm not laughing at the situation. It's sad because developers may lose the jobs, but like, this game is the biggest AAA flop of all time. It's shocking, and we're probably going to find out more over the next few weeks when journalists do the investigation work and all that stuff. But I'm actually speechless. Like, it's crazy, really.
It is definitely crazy, and my concern now goes to the devs, and I mean that seriously. And I know you guys feel the same. It's just like what happens to
100%,
them.
dude. These are human beings that made the game. You have to understand where Umber's coming from is how is what empathy is. That's what we're supposed to have. We're not supposed to be laughing at anyone. Listen, the game came out and it just wasn't a good game. No one said. No one would. I have not heard anyone actually say, "Oh, these developers actually went out of their way to make a crappy game." No one does that. It's just that because the game was started development 8 years ago. Jamie, I think you said this last week. What launched 8 years ago? Overwatch, which means that this studio was chasing the trend at the time, and because they were a smaller team before they were being bankrolled by Sony, it took a long time to get where they were. Someone should have stepped in and be like, you know what, let's pump the brakes. This is ultimately going to be looked at upon as a clone, which we all did, and it is. And ultimately, now the game is being removed from sales indefinitely. And look, I'm sorry. I don't think this game comes back. I just don't. I don't know what they could possibly do. They would have to literally go into the code and pull out all of the characters and make new ones. Sony is not going to spend the development bucks to do that. They just won't, Umbra.
I'm going to have to agree. I just think that the bed is made for this one. I don't these characters, and I'm not trying to be funny, but their pronouns too. And I saw a few people joking about it, but it's true. It just didn't land for people. Like the whole robot with pronouns, like all of that stuff. I think, I've had this discussion. Me and Danny talked about it, and I'm not trying to, shade anybody who feels a way about whatever on their life choices and style or whatever, right? But I think putting agendas into gaming is a mistake that people will have to learn to stop doing. And I think the crowd's gaming crowd has kind of shown like we don't want that. I'm just going to be honest. There's some games that can work for. Very few can get away with it though, like especially newer games. I think they're going to have to shy away from that. And these, like I said, these devs, and they sought out to make a game that they could be proud of, I'm sure. And from what I'm hearing, the bones of it are solid, right? But because it got like a 7, I think, across the board from most people. So that's saying it's a good game, essentially, but it's nothing that stands out from the crowd. Also, too, we've talked about it so many times, like it's very clearly you're going for $40 in already a niche market of hero shooters with other hero shooters that are better and free. So it's like I'll take free 99 over $40 any day of the week. And I mean, it's so many things that were against it. I think the character work, they look so bland and uninteresting to people. I think the agenda thing, people were already put off by that and held the game for penalty for that too, right or wrong. And I just don't know how. I don't think you can let me not curse, but I don't think you can un-F this, if you will. You know what I mean? I just don't think you can. I think you're absolutely correct there. I think it's too much damage done. Also, too, it's kind of like it's that thing like it's not cool anymore, right? So it's already had its chance to be that, to give that first impression. Anything coming out now is going to be like, you had your chance, whatever, we don't want you. I just don't think it's going to rebound correctly, but what hopefully it does, and what they'll be smarter in making a decision to put it everywhere this time and not, choose to X out Xbox, if you will. I just think that was a poor decision. It should have been on all platforms. It should have been free to play. And the character work, I just think that it was just uninspiring. I don't know. I think a story mode wouldn't have hurt it either, being honest. And for that amount of money that it's losing, I would have expected it to have that at least. It doesn't. So I don't know. But good luck to them going forward. I just don't have good faith in
Sony is relentless with studios that don't make money for them. Let's call it spade a spade. We've seen it time and time again. They have closed studios faster than you lace up your boots. And they don't even respond or apologize for it. Ultimately, Sony Corporation is going to take a $200 million bath on this game. That's a lot of money in an era where Sony is counting every dollar. We know that because they nickel and dime us as fans to death. And this is another example of, and yeah, it was just, I think I saw the story yesterday. I might have even been today, this morning, when I was reading through the stories and the news feeds, that they announced that Concord made $1 million. Well, now they have to give that money back. So the $1 million that they made got to go back to the people that bought the game. 25,000 people, 15,000 on PlayStation, and of course, 10,000 on PC. Now, granted, I don't know if any of those 10,000 equate to returns, because I saw a lot of people posting their screenshots. I returned this game. It's this, that, and the third on PC, which is much easier to do than with PlayStation. PlayStation is like pulling teeth. But at least, folks, as we move on to the next story, at least it has been confirmed by SIE themselves that they are going to be issuing refunds to the payment of choice, which I think is a really, really good front-facing thing to do. It would have been really, I think it would have been a community uproar. Even the PlayStation guys like, what do you mean I can't get my money back? You're just pulling the game and that's it? But at least they're not doing that. So if there's anything to positively walk away from in this particular story, it's the fact that SIE is in fact going to issue refunds for everyone who purchased the game, not only from PlayStation, but on Steam, but other avenues of purchase. I think that is the best and most positive thing that is going to happen out of this story. It's unfortunate, but it's at this point, how many players did you just say, Jamie, were on Steam right now?
25.
25 people, which are probably developers.
Sheesh. It's probably
25
them.
people. That's probably not. That's not people that bought the game. That's developers playing the game, or Sony family members or something like that, because they just want to get some sort of traction. Without them, it'd be zero. And again, we talked about it just yesterday when you compare numbers. Like if you look at Redfall, which of course, launched at a very terrible state, had 6,100 people, at their highest peak, which isn't great. That's freaking terrible for a double A. You can even consider a triple A game. The game failed, right? But Concord failed to get even past 700.
Boom. I need to say this quickly.
Yeah.
There's currently 33 people playing Redfall.
33 people playing. Wow. Well, there you go. Yeah.
Sheesh.
So that game is a couple years old. It's the team has been disbanded, and 33 people are playing that game. And how old is that game right now? Was it like 2.5, 3 years old?
It's about a year and 6 months, I think.
Okay, so there you go. A couple of years old. Well, such is life, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? Let me queue up the next story. But before we get to the next story, gentlemen, I got to catch up on Super Chats and channel member chats. There's been a ton of them here. Of course, we got to thank Quan the Terrible, who does the salute to you, Quan. Thank you so much for being here, brother, and being a channel member for a long, very long 9 months. We super appreciate that here at Double Barrel Gaming. We have Alvin, who drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Sony pulled the ripcord on Concord. I see what you did there, sir. I see what you did there. Indeed, they needed to do something because the game was falling. Brett Bingham, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, the ripcord Sony pulled on Concord had an anvil. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe it. Elemental PO, who's been a channel member for a whopping 29 months. He goes on to say, Concord, I don't get it. Make a new game. Forget this one. Redfall didn't do this. Why Concord? Listen, they tried something. It was a trend-chasing idea, which is never really good. Make your game. Be original with your game. I guess they thought that's what they were doing. But 8 years in development, $200 million, and a studio that was purchased by Sony. I don't know how much. I tried to look up what they bought them for. I couldn't find the actual price. But if you consider the development cost and the studio cost, it's just another poor investment by Sony. So Sony themselves were chasing trends, gentlemen. They were chasing the trends of their competitor buying everything. Sony, is just not Microsoft. I'm not saying that to diss them. They're just not. And obviously after Bethesda, after Activision, these are studio purchases that might have been with haste because they needed to get something. And I think the worst one is the $3.6 billion for Bungie. That is just egregious. We also have Iman Burns, who's been a channel member for a very long 27 months. Iman, thank you so much for the support. He says, who didn't see that Concord being shut down and Sony giving a refund? Funny that it isn't Sweet Baby Jesus and another flop for Sony. What's up, boys? I mean, listen, it's Sony's just not having a good run. They're just not. And like I said, if games as a service was expected to be a money maker for them, it is apparently have failed. And that is why Jim Ryan is no longer in charge. And that is exactly why things are the way they are. We got to see what's going to happen. I know that there's some expectations for 2025 that they're going to have a lot to show. Let's hope so. Because the last couple of years, outside of Spider-Man and a few others, they haven't had much. Astrobot in a couple of days, I think 3 days. I can't wait. I'm very excited for that. That got really, really good previews. But listen, it's not for everyone, but it's definitely for me. We have JJ saying 117 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, great news about Capcom and Xbox. I'm waiting for those saying Xbox gamers don't buy games for this reason to apologize if they have the guts. They won't. People say things. Listen, we buy games. I buy games all the time. Listen, hopefully people go out and buy this game. I have an announcement I'm going to do at the end of the show regarding these games coming out next year. We'll talk about that during outros.
You and Jamie, would you wager that the press is looking for some bad Xbox news at this moment?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 1,000%. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, 100%. First of all, you got positive Xbox news with Marvel vs. Capcom collection. Again, it's a collection, but it's still positive news because it was a story. Then, of course, Concord news came out, and that, of course, is now being looked upon with some really, really questionable side eyes. There's no doubt that the certain media folks are like, well, we got to get on top of this. We got to cover for Concord, so let's look for that bad. You're going to see the next couple of days is going to be an onslaught of bad news for Xbox. It's just a running narrative. It's a shame. We have Barry Dunlon. So Barry, welcome to the program. His name I don't really recall, but I appreciate you being here, Barry, and of course appreciate the £2 super chat. He says maybe Sony are having financial difficulties. Well, they are definitely having financial difficulties because why Sony finds themselves in a bit of a conundrum, if you will. If I may just do a quick synopsis, if you will. They thought by making any type of games as a service, they were going to make money. And that ideology has failed. The bigger problem for Sony is their cost versus the games. Now, look, I understand there's a lot of people. This is an Xbox show. And I get there are a lot of people like F Sony. I hear you. But I have a PlayStation and I proudly support it. When they put out a first-party banger like a God of War or an Uncharted or Horizon, I always buy them, and I even buy the collector's editions. I like their games. Do I love Sony? I actually hate Sony as a company. They're so cheap, and they're so egregious with their business behaviors, I can't stand it. But I like their first-party games, which is why I have a PlayStation 5. The problem with Sony right now in 2024 is that Spider-Man 3, which is expected to be one of the big ones, right, to close out the trilogy for both Peter and Miles, is estimated at $400 million. And that, where do I get that number from? I got that number from the Insomniac leaks that happened last year. They can't have $400 million budgeted games because obviously Spider-Man 2 cost them $315 million, and I don't even know if that includes advertising. So did they make that money back? I mean, how many copies were sold? I don't know. Was it 10 million, 15 million, 20 million? I'm not exactly sure, but they spent a lot of money, and that's the problem. their games cost a lot of money, not because the games are terrible. The games look like movies. That's what they do, but they also cost a lot of money to make. So the problem with Sony is that they're not making money on the gas games that they had in development. They canceled 6 of them, and now they're back to square one making the first party games, and those they have to figure out the cost. What do you do if you're Sony? I don't know, because remember, their big money maker, Call of Duty, is now owned by Xbox. Yeah, it's Sony's got some problems. Let's just say that. We have Will Broke Boy Lewis drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, ordered Concord's controller. It's a collector's item now. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, you're gonna be able to sell it on eBay because look, controller's not bad looking. It's just the game is just awful. It's just a shame. Nightwolf 3186, who's drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, so with the sudden cancellation of Concord, really curious what, if any, media outlets will cover it. Will we see certain media's true colors if they don't? I mean, gentlemen, that's going to be a big question to see how it's covered. Not so much if they do. I think they are going to cover it. But look, at the end of the day, this is a big story. It's not a positive story, but I will say this to answer you, they have no problems dumping and dunking on Xbox whenever they take a shit. That's a fact. So let's see, because obviously, and again, Steele mentioned this yesterday. I think it was when we were in the green room. You want to talk about the media covering. Now, Wukong, Umber, you're playing it, is a gorgeous looking game. It's running better on PC than on PS5.
Indeed.
Fact, right? That's a fact. It's not optimized the correct way on PS5. And we have found out that there's monetary reasons why it's not on Xbox. Fine, whatever. The problem is that if roles were reversed and it launched on Xbox and not PS5, there would have been 76.3 different reviews on it. And I add the 0.3 for comedy. There'd have been 76, 86, 176 reviews for it about how terrible it's optimized on the X, and it's because of the S. Do you know how many reviews that game has on PlayStation 5 today, as of today, because I looked it up? 8.
2? Oh, wow. 8. Okay. Last I remember, I heard about 2.
It was originally 2, but now it's a whopping 8 reviews.
Insane.
You don't tell me that's not the media covering for Game Science and for a PlayStation exclusive, please.
It's definitely been covering. No way in the world it's such a game. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to write an article for a review, rather article for Black Myth.
Yeah, you should. Your initial write-up was fantastic.
Thank you, brother. This is good. I'm going to be honest with you guys and you guys in the chat. I think I'm going to, as far as I can tell right now, currently, until I play anything better, I think this is currently my game of the year.
There's
no way in the world. No way in the world with such a major release like this only get 2 and now 8 reviews for PlayStation. No way.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But we have a new channel member, NM156. Hey, dude, thank you so much. Welcome to the program, and thank you so much for the support. We super appreciate that here. We have 2 more super chats, and we're going to get into the Jamie Moran topic, where Transformers, Microsoft, or specifically Xbox, has 2 Transformer games that have been rated in Australia, which means that, well, the 2 Cybertron games, which are freaking awesome, might be coming back, and, well, they might be coming back as remakes, which, yes, please, new achievements, and I will play through those games like they're brand new. We also have Giggity08 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says PlayStation can't keep losing money like this to the point where someone will come in and acquire them. I mean, you never know. Apple's always on the hunt. You know, you get bankrolled by Apple. That's like getting bankrolled by Microsoft. So that would be good for Sony for sure.
I can see Apple if they decided to get into the gaming world, or you still got Amazon now.
You still have Amazon too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. They lost out already. This could be their get back. Could be their rebound right here. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, Will Broke Boy Lewis drops an additional very generous $2 super chat and says even Crossfire X and Redfall each lasted a year, and that's pretty
Insane.
bad
Especially
because Crossfire
Crossfire X.
X was freaking terrible. What
Yeah, that
a
was horrible.
POS of a game, man! Wow.
I hated it.
But Jamie, let's go to you because obviously you tweeted last night where you said two different Transformer games have went through the Australian classifications board. Now Xbox, now obviously Activision is part of Xbox. Looks like we could be getting those Cybertron games this year. Now, on top of this story, and you saw it also, we talked about it in our DMs, Ecstasies had made mention that Game Pass is getting 19 additional game drops, which at least 13 of those are going to be new drops to the service. I don't know what's happening. Because again, it's a rumor, but Ecstasies has been talking about these rumors and these Game Pass drops, and almost every one of them that he has mentioned has happened. He has an amazing freaking track record. Let's break this down because this is a really big deal. Again, old games, sure, but two games that are just fan freaking tastic.
Yeah, so there's been rumors for close to a year now that Xbox has been working behind the scenes on making Activision games backwards compatible. And me, I love backwards compatibility. The 360 generation is my favorite, and I never got to play the Transformers Cybertron games. So like I have them sitting right next to me, sealed, waiting, ready to be opened. So I do my thing every week on Twitter. I'm asking for them to come back, trying to make noise for it. And it turns out that Microsoft has sent two Transformers games through the Australian ratings board, and one of them is listed as original, and the other one is listed as modified. Now, I think I figured out what they're doing here. So, Fall of Cybertron, the sequel, came to Xbox One in I think it was 2014. But like it was just a straight up remaster. But the first game didn't. So my theory is that Fall of Cybertron, the game that's already on Xbox One, is going to come to current Xboxes with being relisted, being able to put on sale, go on to Game Pass, and also they'll probably give it a next gen upgrade. But I think that War for Cybertron, the first game, is going to get a remaster because it was listed as modified. That's the only thing I can think of. And these are two like beloved games. People love these games. Third person, over the shoulder shooter games, but you play as Transformers. And like I played the multiplayer beta back in the day, right? It was so good. And maybe they'll bring the online back, but it just goes to show that like maybe the rumors we heard last year with the Activision stuff and what you're hearing now about the Game Pass stuff, it looks like it's all coming ahead. And in the past, when games have went through the Australian rating board, they've came to Xbox within a few months. So it looks like we could be seeing the Transformers games on Xbox and in Game Pass by Christmas. And that's huge. Like the Transformers community on Twitter have been going nuts. Like these are probably two of the best Transformers games ever made. And it's a huge deal. Now we don't know what the multi-platform thing is going to be like, but either way, Game Pass getting Transformers games, it's going to be huge, and it's good news. And it looks like we're going to see other Activision games added. Activision has a bunch of superhero games, and now I will say this: in the Insomniac League last year, there was some mention that Xbox can't have games that have X-Men characters in them. So I don't know if that also extends to backwards compatibility. So I don't know if we'll see things like X-Men Wolverine Origins or Deadpool.
They should.
They should. They should. And plus, have you seen the price of those games going on eBay at the minute? Like Deadpool at the minute is going for like £300.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and hopefully they can get these games relisted so people don't have to sell off an arm and a leg and a couple of blood diamonds, because like these are good games that more people deserve to play. And I hate the fact that games get delisted. Like we lose history that way. And there's so many superhero games by Activision that we may have access to. There's some amazing, pun intended, Spider-Man games that Activision have made in the past, like some really good ones, and we could see them come back. But it's good news for Xbox, because when Xbox bought Activision, or I should say Microsoft, like one of the big things, like people were looking at was the back catalog. Like that back catalog is huge. It's insane what they have there. You know, there's a bunch of Crash Bandicoot games from the 360 generation, which no one has access to anymore.
Yep.
So, like, all in all, the Transformers thing is definitely happening and probably happening soon.
I mean, listen, again, it's a big deal. And who's to say, like you said, maybe we get this at the end of the year. These are beloved games. I played through them multiple times. I'm a G1 Generation 1 Transformers fan. This is as close to an amazing G1 experience as you could possibly get. And I loved every second of it. I will play through these games again, new achievements. But Umbra, let's bring you in, because obviously this is, again, they're old games, but not only is Cybertron getting, not only is Xbox gamers potentially getting these two Cybertron games, there's also the rumor, and Jamie, we'll come back to you in a second, regarding the 19 games potentially dropping into the service that Jamie had made mention about. And again, this is where the Activision games that we've been waiting for potentially might come to fruition. That could include a ton of Call of Duty. That could also include games that are going to get HDR bonuses, get some frame rate bonuses, like Prototype. I mean, Singularity is another one that could get, an FPS boost. I'm super excited. These are games that have not been played in years. And because Activision is now owned by Microsoft, those games could drop at any day. And according to Ecstasies, 19 of them are dropping along with these two Cybertron games. Let's talk about it.
One shall stand, one shall fall. I mean, listen, I know, Boom, that you being a G.I. Joe aficionado like you are.
Indeed.
And they're going to be a G.I. Joe / Transformers movie, by the way.
Hello. Yes.
Yes. Jamie, I'm sure you are a fan as well. I'm sure there are many fans in the chat. This is pure nostalgia right here. This is the type of stuff that we've talked about. We want Xbox to get and capture, right? Like they miss out on that nostalgia that Sony has at times and Nintendo has in abundance. And so something like this would be a very welcome thing for me. My nephew, by the way, the one I forced to go half seats on those $70 games, he loves him some Transformers, man. I'm telling you, like he had blankets and sheets and like, hey, the new movie, blah blah blah. I'm like, ugh. Like even the terrible ones, he's like, yeah, let's watch this. I'm like, all right, let's say we did and not. But I will say I am excited for this because I know a lot of people were clamoring for this when the ABK purchase happened. A lot of people talked about Transformers immediately. That was one of the first ones, that people talked about. This, what else was it? I think Tony Hawk, and what was the other one? The True Crimes. Those were like the top three I continue to see.
Great game, dude.
Yeah,
wow.
So this right here is a definite good step in the right direction. I love to see that because other games are restricted due to licensing issues, so they're not for resale. So if they're remastering them, obviously, and Hasbro has been clear, we covered this on the fix as well. Hasbro has been clear that they are more than open to having partnerships with whomever for their properties. So this right here is a W for them and for Microsoft. If this comes to, as you like to say, Boom, to borrow your phrase, fruition, for sure. So there's two games that are apparently, I guess, being remastered. Is that the case? Is it remade? I guess.
Yeah.
If it's a remake, I'm more interested in the idea of a remake than a remaster. I don't think. After all these years, I want to, not to say that those games weren't great as they were, but I would like for them to kind of modernize it and change up some things and make it more modern for today's, I guess, landscape. So I would like for them to do, because I was thinking of like Mafia. I was actually watching a gentleman on TikTok fail that racing mission on Mafia Definitive Edition, that cursed racing mission.
Dude, you know how many times I failed that?
Boom.
I was gonna say GD live on the air, but yeah, dude. Yeah,
I failed that mission at least 40 plus times. I'm not joking.
very difficult, dude.
There
like,
is no
crazy.
reason why that mission should have been that tough. I'm like, come on, this is just cheap.
You got to. You know what I did? I'm not going to front. I'm going to expose myself here. Pause. Hold on a second. No did. I dumbed it all the way down to the easiest difficulty to just beat that mission because after
I'm
like
not mad at you. I'm not. I
after
don't
like the
blame you
20th
at
time,
all.
I'm like, you know what? F this. I got this is the story mission. You got to do it to get past it.
You
So
gotta do it. I'm not mad at you one bit. That mission needs to be stricken off the game. I still don't understand why they made that mission that hard. It's the hardest thing in the entire game. It's so ridiculous.
It's harder than the end of the game. P.S. By the way,
it is. Like what happened? Like I don't know. Like did they just say like I don't know what happened. What made them make that mission so hard like that? But anyway, pause. That said, Sleeping Dogs, JB. Yes, that is also Activision. That's another one people clamoring for. But to get back to this whole thing here, like I say, it's a nostalgia trip that a lot of people will love. So then, if they can do a remake of this and modernize the visuals, because at the time the visuals when it dropped, they were gorgeous then. Right, so if they can get an Unreal Engine 4 or 5 of this, I would say 4 because everybody seems to have trouble with 5. Let's just say an Unreal Engine 4, which still looks stunning, and work that into this, or they have other engines options they can use, and give us a modernized version of that. I would love it. I'm sure they can probably get the legendary voices back. The what's my man's name that talks for Optimus? Is it Frank? Not Frank, is it?
Oh.
I almost said Frank Welker, but is that Frank Welker? That's the one that talked for, I believe, Megatron, right? And Starscream and stuff like that. What is his Chad? What's my man's name that talks for the legendary Optimus? I can't think of it right now. But yeah, if they can get them back to
Peter Cullen.
That
was right on the tip of my tongue, and I couldn't. I should be ashamed of myself. Like I literally
feel
should be
bad
ashamed
too.
of myself.
Honestly, I do. I feel sad. Thank you guys in the chat too. Yeah, if they can get them to come back too, which is a necessity, I believe. Major W. I'm all for that. Hope it happens. I'm hoping that it happens, and I'm hoping it's kind of a launch pad for more of those games to be remade or remastered in the library. Because one of the questions we all did have is, hey, where are these ABK games at? Why haven't they hit the Game Pass yet? So if they're taking their time to go through the catalog of what they have to remaster them or remake them, all the more of a W for that. If you have that license, absolutely do that. So I'm all for it.
I mean, there is what's interesting? I don't know if anyone remembers. I think a lot of people forget this. There is a Transformers game that is currently in development called Transformers Reactivate. It's a first-person shooter, by the way. Go check out that freaking trailer. As a matter of fact, you know what? You guys want to see that trailer? Because no one remembers this. I'm telling you, nobody remembers this freaking thing. Let me pull up my YouTube.
I've been following this game very closely.
Me too.
It looks so good.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm doing this live on the air, folks, so bear with me. Activate game. Okay, here we go. Here's the trailer. Pull this up. This was okay. So this is a year ago. This actually was at the Game Awards. So let me just pull this up. It's 1 minute and 21 seconds. Hold on a sec. I'm going to do a screen share. Again, this is from the Game Awards. Game Awards 2022. This is from a couple of years ago. Let me just do a quick screen share so you guys and gals can see exactly what I'm talking about. This trailer looked dope. Like, honestly, it looked really, really good. Here we go. Let me just pull that up full screen, and you can, check it out. Here we go.
This ain't working. We should melt it down for ammo. And we're live.
Come on, big guy.
Sequencing at 17%. Loading memory core now.
It's all the same. Only the names will change. And every day it seems we're wasting away.
No.
Another day where the faces are so cold. I drive all night just to get back home.
All right, let's get lucky.
'Cause I'm a cowboy on a steel horse I ride. I'm wanted, dead or alive.
Morning.
There you go, folks. I mean, listen, again, a minute 21 seconds. It's a CG trailer. There is some gameplay that's been floating around. It looks like it's a first-person shooter, which we have never had a first-person shooter for Transformers. That game was in development. I believe it's still in active development. They have not canceled it, as far as I know. Look, yeah, sign us up. There's a new Transformer film coming out. I believe that's in a couple of weeks. My nephew's super excited to see it. It's an animated film. It's based on newer designs, not so much Gen 1, but again, it's gonna make a lot of money. That game does look, based on some of the gameplay that I've seen, and it's been floating around, where it looks dope. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, Jamie? You hope that that's one of the games that eventually comes out? And you said you've been following it for a while. What have you seen or heard?
Yeah, so it's going to be a single player or up to 4-player action game. It is a bit weird because apparently the game is still in active development, but Splash Damage has removed all tweets
Oh,
when it comes to the game. So, like, the thing is, there's been no official cancellation, and apparently the game was pretty far along. So, as far as I know, I think maybe they've just like restarted some work. I think maybe the online component, maybe they've stepped back from. That's just a guess, because the current state of online games at the minute isn't exactly that good, But I'm hoping it's still going, I think it's weird because yeah, the Transformers license is a bit weird. You have these kind of like indie, or I want to say single A developer games coming out. There's a new Transformers game coming out in October. It is very low budget. Let's just say that. And it's clear that maybe the Transformers license isn't that expensive. But hey, I'm hoping it happens because like everyone here loves Transformers. Transformers is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Like I think we just want more good games. I hope it comes out. But when I saw the Splash Damage removing the tweets, a bit worried. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's why I was asking if they're removing the tweets. That's definitely not good. Maybe they're no longer attached to it, which I like Splash Damage as a developer. That would be kind of crappy. Bro, before we get to outros and we'll read the remainder of the super chats, any thoughts on the trailer we just watched?
Yeah, I remember that. So that wasn't a surprise to me. I'm surprised so many people forgot about it, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm blown away when we saw it at the Game Awards, whatever. I was like, okay. And I'll be honest, outside of that, I'll say this. Splash Damage doesn't really like do it for me. I'm not trying to down them, but then
that's fine. You're entitled.
Yeah. When I see them, I'm not like, ooh, Splash Damage on this? Okay, I got to get that. I'm sorry that my voice went up, but that's how we react. The tone goes up, and I'm a pretty baritone brother, but it'd be like, ooh, nope. Splash Damage didn't really do it. Also, I would say, and I think you touched on it a second ago, pause. You said third person. I would prefer that for a Transformers game, right? I would rather see the body of the Transformer, if you will, to transform. Gotcha. And hear that. I want to hear all of that and see everything. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at on that. And also shout out to whoever said it in the chat. I did not like that cover of Wanted either, by the way. Neither here nor there, but if you're gonna play that, just play the regular Bon Jovi version, I guess. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I am hopeful for it. Hopeful that it turns out good. Splash Damage isn't trash. They're just not at the top of my developer list. I don't mean that to discourage them. But yeah, hey, hopefully it turns out right. It's been a while since we seen it. I believe when that trailer was shown at the Game Awards was what, 2 or 3 years ago now. So
Yeah.
hopefully they're kind of in that home stretch, I suppose. What's up, Fuzzy? Yeah, hopefully they're kind of in that home stretch to get it, to show it to us. I guess later this year, the VGAs, if not next year. We'll see what's up. And yeah, but I'm still more concentrated on what Microsoft may be doing here with these two games allegedly. So we'll see. I'm hopeful that it is remakes of the War for Cybertron and such like that. So we'll see.
Well, I just got something in my DM. It's funny but not. Nintendo just tweeted, "Greetings from Concordia. Wish you were here." And it shows the new Mario Brothers game. The oh my goodness, this is so unlike Nintendo. From it's the new trailer for Mario Luigi Brothership, and it says, "Greetings from Concordia." That's not.
Oh, Nintendo getting in their digs.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There you go. There's that. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for checking out today's show. We got a couple more super chats in here. Crush Lemons, welcome to the program there, Crush Lemons, and thank you very much for the $2 super chat. And again, I don't. This is going to be the running narrative. He's onto something. Crush Lemons goes on to say, "I blame the Xbox Series S for Concord's failure." You're not wrong. That MS is always causing trouble.
Damn you, Series S.
Yeah. Yelling at the sun. So thank you so much for the $2 super chat, Crush Lemons. Splendivorous, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $2 super chat. And he says, "Boom, that Black Ops 6 DOE, boom, I can't stop playing." Yeah, I know they're doing another one this weekend. I hit level 20. I said yesterday when we were talking about it with Steel and Fuzzy, I've always been a campaign first gamer, and I'll dabble in multiplayer. Not this time around. Black Ops 6 is so freaking good that I'm immediately jumping into multiplayer when it launches in October, before I even touch the single player. It's so fast, and I'm an old guy, and I haven't played Call of Duty in a really, really long time. I was averaging 22 kills per match, which is pretty good for me. I play a lot of Halo. Maybe that's where the skills came from. But bro, when I hit level 20, when I maxed out, I had 30 kills that game. I was on fire. I got MVP twice, and I came in the top three times. I'm loving it. It is the best multiplayer Call of Duty I think I've ever played. It's unbelievable how quick it is, and it's fun. It is just so much fun. And that was the beta. I cannot wait for the finished product. I'm super stoked for it. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yes, sir.
How are you feeling about these people being assaulted, though? I've been seeing some clips go around when.
Are you talking about the meat shield thingamajig, where people are getting potentially,
shielded,
assaulted?
Meat shielded.
Yeah. They're called Steel Rain. I'm not sure if he's in the chat, but there was a name for he called it yesterday. Something with Diddy. It was like
they're getting the diddler treatment.
I don't know what. All I know is that there was some explanation about people being pushed against the wall.
Yeah,
I've seen some clips
and on some TikTok and with some voiceovers. Let's just say, go to TikTok, type in "No Diddy Meat Shield," and you're gonna see some things. Make sure the kids aren't watching, folks. So I can tell you that it is a thing.
You know what's
on the
insane?
Socials.
That right there is happening right now. And this is now an Xbox property, and that is happening. And I've seen people like, whoa, I've even seen David Jaffe speak on it. And they're like, okay, that's fine, right? Let it fly. But they have outlawed what you call it, a teabagging in Halo. What the hell?
Ridiculous. Fuzzy Belvedere says it's called the Diddy 6 Shield.
Oh no. Diddy 6 Shield.
Oh no.
Oh man. I've seen some violations. Somebody whispered sweet nothings in one person here. I was like, oh no.
It's
not the game for me.
The entertainment that is happening right now for something as simply as the meat shield or the quarter.
Even the name of it is like
the Diddy 6 Shield.
Just calling it the meat shield alone is probably provocative enough, actually.
Well,
oh man,
needless to say, that is going to do it for us here. Again, the show is a little shorter because obviously I had it, written for 90 minutes, but we had the breaking news with the Marvel versus Capcom stuff. We had the breaking news with Concord being pulled as officially on September 6th. And of course, we got into the story a little bit about the 2 Transformer games, one of which we don't know. The third one being maybe it's still in active development. We don't know. And of course, the big one, I think, is the 19 games potentially hitting the service, Xbox Game Pass, this September. We don't know what those 19 games are, but I bet you a lot of those are the games that I've been waiting for, the singularities. Tony Hawk was his 25th anniversary was today, if I'm not mistaken. Thanks to Sith Lord, who pointed that out in a DM. Maybe that drops magically today at some point, because it is the 25th anniversry of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
25th anniversary. It's been 25 years.
Yeah, 25
Since
years,
the
dude.
first game. Wow,
bonkers. That
Sheesh.
makes me feel
We're old.
incredibly old.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. Again, apologies to everyone that I didn't get a chance to welcome you individually like I normally do. But again, this was a shoot from the hip kind of a thing. Once again, thank you. A big thank you to all the super chats that have come in. Let's get everyone out of here. And we'll start with Jamie Moran. Jamie, obviously.
Yeah, one more that just came through. Boom.
What's that?
You have one super chat that just came through.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Will Boy Lewis drops an additional, very generous $2 super chat and says, the leak I saw said 19 games, 17 day ones. There you go. Thank you for the correction there, Will. Appreciate that. I wasn't sure if it was 17 or 13. So, but thank you. That's 17 day one games. Yes, please. I don't know what those are, but we're going to find out soon enough because, again, you can take ecstasies at arm's distance if you like. I trust him. I know him, and that guy has been getting it right. He has great connections. But Jamie Moran, you have a show happening later today. Obviously, there's going to be a lot to get into. Lots of Xbox news. You just put out a video that you spent a significant amount of time on. The video was fantastic. I want you to sell that to the masses, let people know where not only could they check out this video, watch you tonight live, but also subscribe to your YouTube channel and follow you on social media.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. It's always good talking to you guys. It's been a great show. So yeah, I put out a video last night of 20 biggest games coming to Xbox in September. It took a long time to put together, a lot of copyright claims. That kind of comes with the territory, but there's so many games coming out in September. I actually had to make a top 20 list, which I haven't been able to do before. Some interesting games there. Highly recommend people check that out. I also have All Things Xbox podcast tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, where it's literally just Xbox. We may touch on the whole Concord situation because it's some of the biggest gaming news of the year. We also are going to be talking about the Transformers stuff and Final Fantasy coming to Xbox. It's finally happening. We're going to be talking about that later, and that's on the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel. And on Twitter, I'm Jamie Moran UK, where it's exclusively just games and the occasional joke.
And we love it, brother. And we love you for it. Thank you so much for being a part of the community and, of course, putting out unbelievable content on Infinite Umbra. Let's talk about The Fix happening Thursday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you and, well, Danny get together. You talk about movies. You talk about wrestling. And, of course, there was a big thing that happened yesterday. What's his name was carted off. He got his rear handed to him.
Chicago's on.
It sure was. And of course, well, gaming, and there is a lot of gaming news. And I would imagine from today to Thursday, there's going to be even more. We'll see if the media is going to, do the copium attack regarding Concord, and we'll see what happens there. But sell the brand. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel? Check you and Danny out every Thursday, and more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yes. So good show, good talk. Always a pleasure to be here with you fellas. Shout out to the chat, to Brett Bingham. He just cleared it up. Brett Bingham, should I say? He says Double Edge. He called you out. Double Barrel Gaming. He says nobody is getting banned from Halo for teabagging. In Halo, should I say? Community moderators have already dismissed that claim.
Oh, excellent.
I'm glad I'm glad that's the case. I did see Unisec come out and say something, but I still saw that post of people saying that they were
that would be ridiculous. I mean, that's I hate to say it. I don't like it when it happens to me, but that's been since Halo 2, for crying out loud.
Yeah, so it's and I remember some people like claiming it was SA and all that. It's like, stop it. So I wasn't sure if they like cow toe to them or anything, but I'm glad that's the case that they
Did you
didn't.
say camel toe? Oh,
Pause.
sorry. Pause.
Cow
Pause.
toe, but yeah.
Pause. No Diddy.
Boom was ready to get back to the Black Ops 6 meat shield thing. I see.
You better believe it. I hate when it happens to me, but I've done it to other people now. I'm not.
Oh, no.
I'm not wall
paid it
humping
forward,
anybody.
Huh?
No, I'm not.
you
But I have done the execution, but it's been done to me, and I don't like it. I'm gonna be honest.
Hey, listen. If I
feel
was getting that done to
violated.
me, somebody else had to pay too. Somebody has to suffer like I suffer.
You know, it's funny. Someone said yesterday, I don't remember who it was, that because I like jumping onto my back and then waiting for people to come around the corner. And someone said I spent more time on my back than a hooker in Call of Duty. Is wrong. I'm gonna say that's just wrong.
As far as where you guys can find my channel, I posted it in the I'm reading the Black John as I'm saying it. I said I'm posted it in the teabagged. I posted in the chat. So if you guys have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. I would appreciate it. We would appreciate it. And come by to check us out Thursdays at 8:00 Eastern. Me and Daniel J. McG. Sometimes typically we do the solo dolo. Lately, we're building up on our chemistry, and I think it's gotten really, really good as far as that goes. And our conversations have been really solid because of it. I got great feedback from community members and such. It's all good, Black John, my rock goon brother. We got good feedback from just community members who just hit me up like randomly. It was like, hey, this was a really good show, blah, blah, blah.
That's great.
So I appreciated that. Absolutely. As far as where you guys can find me, of course, Infinite Umbro or Umbra Infinite on Twitter X. You'll find me either way. I'm gonna, like I said, I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to finish. I already beat Black Myth Wukong. I'm on New Game Plus. Yeah, I'm doing New Game Plus almost to chapter 4 already. 6 chapters. Loving it. Probably my game of the year currently right now. So I'm going to do a write up for that in the review and really try to.
You're playing it on PC, correct?
I am. Yes.
Okay.
So my experience is going to be biased to the PC, unfortunately. But if you guys remember, famously, I said I wouldn't play this but on the PC if I had to, recommend it to anybody. But yeah, definitely. And then I hope you guys go and check that out. Once I post it, I'll, post it in the chat here and everything like that to link to it. But yeah, thank you guys for being here with us and holding us down. Boom. Thank you, brother, for, of course, doing what you do and bringing us together as you do. And Jamie, good luck on the show tonight. I'll probably be KO'd, but have a good show.
Well, listen, we appreciate you being here, Umbra, each and every week. And obviously, you working midnights is even more difficult. So we definitely want to thank you for that. And of course, a big thank you to well over 700 people watching live. Mrs. Boom and I super appreciate the support more than you know. So getting back to what we're doing, we'll get into more detail. What Mrs. Boom and I are going to do. We want to give away a bunch of copies of both Marvel vs. Capcom Collection and, of course, the Capcom Fighters Collection 2. We want to give a bunch of copies away. We're going to buy those copies and send them out. I'm not sure if they're going to do digital. If it's going to be physical only, then we're going to only give away 5 copies. If we can do it digitally, we'll do a little more. That will happen. Obviously, it's going to be one of the bigger giveaways that we do in 2025. But it's just, again, we want to just say, thank the community for, wanting, being vocal. And of course, let Capcom know that, well, people do want these games. And we're going to help with that message. Even though we're a small, little mom and pop kind of an organization, it's something that we enjoy doing. We love giving back to the community because the community is extremely generous with us. And again, it's just our way of saying, hey, Capcom, these old games, they matter. And they do matter on Xbox. And we will be giving away at least 5 copies of each version for Xbox when the game's released next year. Again, we'll come back to it. We'll give more details as those details become available. But again, thank you for all the super chats that came in because it allows us to do these giveaways that we are incredibly proud to do. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.